What is up, everybody? It is JT Sports. I am back to you guys with another video. This video, I am going to be talking about the biggest team needs for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into the 2021 offseason. Now, as of right now, the Steelers are currently $26 million under the cap, which means they have negative $26 million in cap space, and they have a lot of team needs that they have to fill this offseason. Now, for that to be accomplished, if they want to bring back some of the marquee guys like Mike Hilton and Bud Dupree, they're going to have to restructure and rework a lot of contracts to free up more cap space. Now, these team needs are not listed in order from most important to least important. I just literally listed off the team needs for Pittsburgh. I didn't think to really put these in order, so don't really take the order that I'm saying these into big consideration. I'm just randomly talking about the team needs as we go. So we're going to start off with center. So we know that Marquise Pouncey, along with his brother, announced their retirement from the NFL a couple of weeks ago, and this is a really big need that the Steelers have to fill. The center position in football is one of the most important and one of the most underrated positions in the NFL because the center is pretty much the quarterback of the offensive line. And when you look at some of the best offensive lines in the NFL, the majority of the time they always have a great center. So if you don't have a great center, your offensive line isn't really going to be all that great. Now, while we're still on the topic of the offensive line, the Steelers also need to fill the need of right tackle and left tackle as well. Now, right tackle, okay, you don't really know who's going to be your starting right tackle come the start of the 2021 NFL season. Okafor started a pretty good amount of games at right tackle for Pittsburgh. I mean, he had some okay performances, but I wasn't really all that thrilled with his performances this year. So the Steelers probably could upgrade at right tackle. I think Pittsburgh could probably move Okafor inside and move him to guard. I think he would be better suited at guard given how big he is and his size. I think he would be better playing guard than he would be playing off the tackle. They also have to fill the need of left tackle as well for Alejandro Villanueva, getting ready to hit the free agency market. So the Steelers have three big needs on the offensive line: center, right tackle, and left tackle as well. They also need to improve the halfback position. Now, it is widely speculated that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to let James Conner walk and he is going to test free agency. Now, there hasn't really been no confirmation of those reports. That's just what the word on the street has been concerning James Conner. So based on the rumors and reports from a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers outlets out there, a lot of reliable outlets out there, they're widely speculating that James Conner probably will not return as a Pittsburgh Steeler, which is really disheartening to say the least because James Conner grew up in the Pittsburgh area. I believe he played his high school ball in Pittsburgh. He played at Pittsburgh University for Pitt. Then he also got drafted by Pittsburgh. And James Conner is a guy who a lot of people consider to be the most overrated halfback in the NFL, which I can agree at times because he can't really stay healthy. And when he's on the field, you know, he can make plays every once in a while, but I think he's more of a beneficiary from having a great offensive line. So I can see why Pittsburgh will come to the assumption that they will be okay with letting James Conner walk because they have bigger needs that they have to address. And if you can fix the offensive line, then that's going to improve the run game as well. They also need to add some more depth at linebacker because you don't really have a lot of depth there. You have an aging Vince Williams, who I think he's coming down to his last days in the NFL. He's getting up there in age. Avery Williamson, who they traded for mid-season in a trade with the New York Jets, he's going to end up being a free agent, but I think the Steelers probably could bring him back if they wanted to. Now, you do have Robert Spurlane, who, you know, provides some good depth. He was really, really good coming in for Devin Bush when Devin Bush suffered that season-ending injury early on in the season. He made a lot of big plays, especially that big play that he did against Tennessee, stuffing Tennessee on the goal line when they tried to give the ball to Derrick Henry. So Robert Spurlane is good, but you need some more depth there, and you're going to have to find guys who can come in once Vince Williams decides to retire. I also think that Vince Williams is a liability in coverage. He hasn't really necessarily been known for his coverage during his playing career in the NFL. He's more of a really good tackler. So for Pittsburgh, I think they need to add some more depth at linebacker. Now, this is probably the biggest one that they have to fill on defense, which is probably cornerback and slot cornerback. I mentioned both of those because they're pretty much in the same mentioning. Now, outside cornerback is a really big question mark for Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh is trying to free up as much cap space as possible. Now, some Steelers fans are speculating that maybe Pittsburgh could part ways with Joe Hayden. Now, I kind of disagree with that because Joe Hayden has been really good for Pittsburgh. He was really good last year. He made a lot of good plays last year and the year before that when he was a Pro Bowler. So I'm not really a big fan of the Steelers parting ways with Joe Hayden just because he's getting up there in age. He's like in his 30s. I understand he's up there in age, but just because you're up there in age doesn't mean a team has to part ways with you. Like, you could be really old and still be producing at a really high level. So as long as Joe Hayden continues to produce at a pretty good level, I don't really think that the Steelers need to part ways with him. I understand they need the free salary cap, but I don't really like the young cornerbacks that Pittsburgh has on the roster. Okay, Justin Lane has a lot of potential. I get that, but I'm not really, thrilled with the young cornerbacks that we have on the roster. Nobody has really showed me anything when they've had the opportunity. Nobody has really stepped up and made the big plays when their numbers have been called. So until I see one of the younger guys step up, I believe that the Steelers should keep Joe Hayden out the outside as long as they keep Steven Nelson as well, because Steven Nelson has also been pretty solid as well. But slot corner is a pretty big concern because Mike Hilton is one of the best, if not the best, slot cornerback in the NFL, and he plays a really crucial role in the Steelers defense because how the Steelers utilize him, pretty much blitzing him off the edge in certain formations. He's kind of like an edge rusher and nickel and dime packages pretty much. So for Mike Hilton, if he was to walk away, that would be a really big blow to the Pittsburgh Steelers defense and to this secondary as well. And then we're going to have to assume that Justin Lane will probably step in at that slot cornerback role, which we haven't really seen a lot of Justin Lane, really, and I'm really disappointed in that because when Joe Hayden got injured, I thought we would see a little bit more of Justin Lane, but we really didn't. So I don't really know what we're getting out of Justin Lane. And the fact that it has taken Justin Lane so long to even get on the field just gives me a lot of worries there. So me personally, I think the best replacement for Mike Hilton, if he was to leave for free agency and the Steelers could not bring him back, I think it would be Shaun Wade, the cornerback from Ohio State. Now, Shaun Wade was terrible as the outside corner for Ohio State. We knew that. But when he was playing nickel or when he was in the slot for Ohio State in the previous year, 2019, he was a monster. A lot of people were deciding if he could even go in the first round because of his versatility. He could also play safety. He was kind of like a hybrid corner in some sorts. He was also a really good tackler as well. So if the Steelers were able to land Shaun Wade in the third or the fourth round of the 2021 NFL draft, I think that would be a really big steal because I think he would be the perfect fit for the defense that the Steelers run because of how good he is coming off the edge as a blitzer, forming that slot cornerback role. So I would really like to see the Steelers get Shaun Wade. I think he would be a really good fit in that slot cornerback role to replace Mike Hilton, not outside corner but slot corner, because I think that's where he is most effective at. And lastly, wide receiver depth. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to hit the free agency market. Maybe. I don't know if the Steelers are going to try to bring back Juju Smith-Schuster or not. But I think Juju may test free agency, and I think he is going to demand a pretty good market because contrary to popular belief, Juju Smith-Schuster is one of the best slot receivers in the NFL. Now, he's not a great outside receiver, but he is one of the best slot receivers that we have in the league. So the Steelers are going to have to find somebody to replace him because you have Chase Claypool, you have Deontay Johnson. Maybe you slide Deontay Johnson to slot and you promote James Washington, the outside receiver, because I believe that James Washington was the best receiver on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster last year. He made a lot of big plays. He was the most reliable wide receivers. He didn't really have a lot of drops, so I could see Deontay Johnson moving the slot and James Washington moving to outside. But I really wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Steelers bring in some more needed depth in free agency and in the draft as well. Now, quarterback is the biggest question mark that the Steelers have right now going into the offseason, because the Steelers right now are trying to get Big Ben to restructure his contract, because he right now is probably going to make $40 million this year. And with him making $40 million, the Steelers aren't going to have enough money to bring back guys like edge rusher Bud Dupree and slot cornerback Mike Hilton. So the Steelers are at, a standstill with Big Ben. It's either Big Ben takes a pay cut or he retires. So quarterback, we don't know who is going to be the quarterback of the future if the worst case scenario was to happen and Big Ben does retire. The Steelers do force Big Ben to retire, because the Steelers have had the tendency of forcing players to retire in the past, such as Troy Polamalu. We saw how that went. So who is going to be the next guy who steps up? Because I don't believe in Dwayne Haskins. Some people are a little bit sold on Mason Rudolph, which I can understand with how good he was in the season finale against Cleveland, a Cleveland Browns team that, by the way, was playing for their playoff lives, trying to get into the playoffs. And he was pretty good, but I still don't have a lot of confidence in him. So for Pittsburgh, you have to find your quarterback of the future if Big Ben is to retire. And even if Big Ben doesn't retire, I don't think there's nothing wrong with bringing in some more competition in the quarterback room. I would really like to see the Steelers trade for Gardner Minshew, the quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I would really love to see him on the team. So this is it for my biggest team needs for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into the 2021 offseason. Let me know what you guys think are the biggest needs that the Steelers have to fill down in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. Also, make sure to follow me on my social media platforms. My Instagram and Twitter is both JT Sports_. The link to those are down in the description in the comment section down below. And thanks for watching.